The portion of Yisro is relatively short in passages, but long in content. The portion of Yisro starts with the story how Yisro, the father-in-law of Moshe, comes to visit him in the desert. Yisro leaves his mansion, his home, and he goes to follow the Jews in the desert. And there, in the Parsha, he advises Moshe to delegate rather than answer every single Jew for their question. And then it goes on to talk about the Ten Commandments, which is the central pillar of the Torah. In the Ten Commandments you have 620 letters, referring to the 613 commandments and the 7 laws of the rabbis and the 7 Noahide laws. So the 620 letters in the Ten Commandments really encapsulate the entire Torah. So our rabbis tell us in the Masoretic text that there are 72 psukim, 72 passages in this Parsha, and the siman, the mnemonic, to remember that there are only 72 parshiot or 72 psukim. In this Parsha is the word Yonadav. So comes the question to mind, what is the connection between 72 and the Parsha of Yitro? And furthermore, what is the message in the word Yonadav teaching us? There's an expression that we find in Yiddish that sometimes a concept just throws itself in your eyes. Es warf sich in de Augen. The number of passages in this week's Parsha, which is 72, is something that truly throws it in your eyes. What does that mean? The number Ayin Beis, 72, alludes to one of the holy names of God, which is called Shem Ab. Why is it called Shem Ab, number 72? Because if you take the famous name of God, the Tetragrammaton, which is the Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey, and you spell it out. You spell out the Yud, and you spell out the Hey, and you spell out the Vav, and you spell out the Hey, you have the number 72. In other words, the Yud is spelled the Yud Vav Dalit, which now is 20, and then the Hey is Hey Yud, which is 15, and the Vav is Vav Yud Vav, which is 22, and then again you have the final Hey, and you spell it out, Hey Yud is 15. Altogether you add up 20 plus 15 plus 22 plus 15, you have 72. So this is called the Shem Ab, God's name that equals 72. What is the number 72 or the Shem Ab have to do with the Parsha? So we're told that the Shem Ab, because we spell it with the letter Yud, instead of, for example, the letter Aleph, the letter Yud alludes to the attribute of Chachma. Chachma is, in Chassidus, a concept, an idea. When you give a glance at the room, and you see everything in the room, that is called Chachma. In other words, I didn't process what I saw yet, but I looked at the whole room. If you ask me later, what did you see? I need to think, well, I saw people. Well, I saw chairs. Well, I saw a table. I saw an iPhone. I saw a tzedakah box. That's called bina, that's called understanding. But chachma is a glance. It's looking at something very quickly before you really comprehend what you have. And that is represented by the letter Yud, a very small letter, like a seed, representing the potential, the seminal drop that has within it the entire child, but yet it has not been developed. So the Shem Ab, which is the name of God, when you spell out God's name with Yuds, equals 72, because this name of God alludes to the name of God in Chachma, which is the concept of wisdom. And as the Rebbe goes on to explain that this Yud alludes to Yechida Shebenefesh. It alludes to the highest level, the 5th level of the soul. We know that every soul is made up of 5 levels: Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. are the 3 lower levels, and they deal primarily with action, emotion, and thought. And then you have the higher 2 letter levels, which is called Chaya and Yechida. Chaya alludes to the concept of desire, of want, ratzon, and Yechida represents the concept of tanug, of pleasure. And Yechida also alludes to the idea of self-sacrifice, a level which is beyond intellect, that you're willing to die for the sake of God, you're willing to do something beyond logic. And this is the Shem Ab, the name of God, which equals 72. And this alludes to the level of Chachma, not the level of Chachma, of intellect or concept, that is connected with the lower level of Bina, understanding, but rather represents Panimius HaChachma, the internal level of Chachma, which alludes to Hamshachas Atzmus, which alludes to the essence of God, that the essence of God resides in the name of Ab, and the essence of God resides in the level of Chachma. And these 2 concepts are also alluded to in the letters of Ab, of Ayin and Beis. These 2 letters make up the name Ab. Ayin alludes to the level of Eden. Eden is a level that is higher than paradise. Gan Eden means the Garden of Eden. But Eden is the source of the garden. And this alludes to a level of Ayin Loira Asa Alikim Zulasacha, that the human eye cannot see it, and the human eye cannot even fathom it. Only God Himself knows this level. And this alludes to a level of the future, a futuristic level, which is the revelation of the Pnimiyut HaTorah, the revelation of the teachings of Mashiach, which we have a taste of today through the learnings of Chassidus, that will truly be revealed when Mashiach comes. So that is the letter Ayin. And then you have the letter Beis. And here too we're taught that Beis represents Chachma, the concept or intellect. As it says in the book of Mishlei, in the book of Proverbs, B'chachma yibane bayis, through Chachma you will build the home. The word bayis, home, is the same letters as the word Beis, the letter Beis. And furthermore, in the Chassidus it expounds that the letter Aleph alludes to Keser, alludes to the crown, which is above intellect. And Beis, the letter Beis, alludes to the second level, which is Chachma. But again, it's a Chachma, it's the intellect and a concept connected to the crown, connected to the higher level, which is beyond understanding and beyond comprehension. And similarly, we find the very first word in the Torah is Bereshis. Bereshis means in the beginning. And here too, Reshis alludes to Chachma, to the first category of intellect, which is the concept and the Sekiras HaSeichel, the glance of the eye that sees everything, but yet it does not comprehend it. What does all of this have to do with Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah on Sinai? And the answer is it has to do everything with Matan Torah. There's a famous question. And the question is, what is truly the novelty that God gave the Torah on Sinai? We know that Avraham Avinu studied the entire Torah before it was given, and Yitzchak studied the Torah, and Yaakov, etc., and the tribe of Levi throughout the years in Egypt studied the Torah. If that is the case, what is the novelty of Matan Torah? And we're told that on Sinai, what happened was God put His essence into the Torah. And that is the very first word of the Ten Commandments, Anochi. Anochi, I am. I. What is I? Ano nafshi kesavis yavis. I put my essence, says God, into the writing, into the words of the Torah. So this is the innovation and the novelty of Sinai and the novelty of God giving the Ten Commandments, because God came down on Sinai, revealed Himself to the world on Sinai, But more than that, even he put his essence into the Torah. Until now, the Torah was just another book, another novel. At Sinai, God put himself into the letters of the Torah. And therefore the Alter Rebbe says, if a Jew has a thirst that he wants to connect with God, what should he do? He should study the Torah. Because in the Torah, you have God's infinite essence. Something that the world cannot contain, but yet is contained in the Torah. Even though the world is a finite world and God is infinite, how do you find this infinite God in this finite world? Is through the study of Torah. And it's because God's love for the Jewish people that he concentrated himself. He contracted himself through the tzimtzum, and he put himself into the letters of the Torah. So if you want to grasp God, if you want to connect with God, if you have a thirst for God, how does one truly connect with God and connect with God and quench one's thirst? That is through the study of Torah. So this is the Shem Ab. This is the name of Ab that alludes to the wisdom, but the essence of God that is found in this wisdom. Furthermore, the Parsha is called Yisro, the portion is called Yisro, and Yisro begins with the letter Yud. The same as the Shem Ab that has the letter Yud in it that expounds on the letters of God's name. As we indicated earlier, that each one of the letters, the Yud and the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey, is all spelled with the letter Yud. Furthermore, the mnemonic of this week's Parsha is Yonadav. Yonadav also begins with a Yud. And what does Yonadav mean? Nedava, to dedicate yourself, to give of yourself. And we find that Rashi tells us in chapter 18, verse number 5, that Yisro left his home, he came down to the Midbar. Why? Says Rashi, Unidavai liboy, lotzeis el midbar mokim toyu. He dedicated his heart to come out into the Midbar, into the desert. A place of chaos and emptiness. Why? Because of his love to God and his love to the Jewish people. But if you look into the book of Jeremiah, of Yirmiyahu, you will find something startling. Who is this fellow Yonadav? And there we find a very powerful story. That God tells Jeremiah, I want you to go to the house of the Rechavim, to the Rechabites. I want you to invite them to the Holy Temple. And I want you to give them wine to drink. So the prophet Jeremiah goes. He goes to the house of the Rechavim. He goes to the house of the Rechabites. And he says, I would like to invite you to the Holy Temple. They come to the Holy Temple. And Jeremiah brings them into a chamber. And he puts down before them, each one of them, a big, big bowl of wine to drink. He says, drink. Drink and be merry. And they say to Jeremiah, drink? We don't drink. We never drink. We're not allowed to drink. I'm sorry. I appreciate your hospitality, Jeremiah. I know you're a holy prophet. I don't want to turn you down, but I'm sorry. Our father told us never to drink wine. And the story continues in Jeremiah chapter 25. That God turns to Jeremiah and says, look at these people. Look at the house of Rechavim, which comes from Yonadav ben Rechav, who was the father of the family. His name was Yonadav. And Yonadav, the son of Rechav, told the family, you are never to drink wine. You are never to plant a vineyard. You are never to live in houses. And look, the house of the Rechavim that comes from Yonadav, which is the mnemonic of this parsha, listens to their father. They never change the ways of their father, and yet the Jewish people, they don't listen to me. They change the ways of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They're not listening to the prophets of Israel. Tell them they should learn a lesson from the children of Yonadav that continued to go in the path of their fathers. And this perhaps is the lesson of the Parsha, that we read the story of the Ten Commandments. And God tells us, the Siman, the mnemonic is Yonadav. Yonadav is a grandchild of Yisro. Yonadav, says Rashi, came from Yisro. And the children of Yisro never changed the teachings and the ways of their fathers. And therefore, we too should never change the way of our fathers. These 10 commandments, which allude to the 620 letters, which alludes to the 613 commandments and the 7 rabbinic laws and the 7 Noachide laws, so too we should not change from the path of Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Moshe and Aaron and David and Shlomo and Sarah and Rivka, Rachel and Leah, the ways that our parents taught us. And look, Yonadav and his children follow the path of Yisro. How much more so we must follow the path of Moses and Aaron and Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. And all of this is connected with the fact that Tu B'Shvat, the 15th day of Shvat, which is the Rosh Hashanah, the new year of the fruit, falls out during the Parsha of Yitro. What's the connection? Why do we have Rosh Hashanah now when we celebrated Rosh Hashanah just a few months ago? What does it mean now, a new year? So the Rebbe explains that the first new year, which is the new year that we celebrate the Rosh Hashanah by coming to the shul, by davening, by praying for a good year, this alludes to making resolutions for things that are essential, like chita and sa'ira, which is wheat and barley. Now, on the new year of the fruit, we celebrate the tree that brings forth fruit. Fruit is not something that is essential. It's not a staple food. We don't have to have it. On the contrary, fruit alludes to pleasure. Fruit alludes to ta'anug. And therefore, we are told and we are inspired by this holiday that when a Jew learns Torah, he should not simply learn Torah because he's forced to learn Torah, and he goes to yeshiva and therefore he learns Torah, or his father and mother tell him to learn Torah, but rather a Jew should learn Torah like the fruit in a way of joy and derive tremendous pleasure from Torah. And primarily this alludes to Panimiyat Torah, which is the study of Chassidus and Chassidic philosophy and Kabbalah, which this was also given at Sinai. For the entire Torah was given at Sinai, not only the revealed Torah, but also the hidden Torah. And furthermore, we know that in truth at Sinai, the hidden was revealed and the revealed was hidden. What does that mean? On Sinai, God came with all the chariots and all the angels, and therefore everybody there saw God, and we saw all the hosts, the heavenly hosts, and we saw all the angels. These are concepts that are discussed really today in the works of Kabbalah and Chassidus. But the revealed Torah, the laws of the Torah, that was concealed. All the 613 commandments and the way a Jew should live his life and the blueprint of one's life, this, which is found in the Talmud and the Code of Jewish Law, was really concealed. It was concealed in the 10 Commandments. So comes along the holiday of Tu B'Shvat and Chamisha Asa B'Shvat, the new year for trees, and reminds us that you should know that, first of all, Panimiyat Torah, the essence of the Torah, and the secrets of the Torah, was given at Sinai. But more than that, this will reveal within us our pleasure in Torah. By studying Panimiyat Torah, which is the pleasure of Torah, we will create a greater desire and a greater pleasure in the Torah that we learn, including the revealed Torah, which is the Talmud and the Halach, etc., etc. So therefore, to wish everybody a happy new year for the trees. And man is compared to the tree in the field, and therefore we should continue to grow and to continue to add and to make more fruit and inspire others, and to truly be blessed with pleasure in everything that we do. And just to conclude with a story that talking about the olive bays and the Ten Commandments. They tell the story that two Jews came to the Tzemach Tzedek, and they said, Rebbe, we want to go into business together. Can you advise us what to do? And the Tzemach Tzedek took out a piece of paper and he wrote Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet. And he gave it back to the two people. And they're reading it and they're turning it upside down. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet. What's going on over here? Rebbe, what exactly is this? How is this a contract for us to have a good partnership? And the Tzemach Tzedek said, Aleph represents Achdus, represents unity. And Aleph represents Emunah, faith. When a Jew has faith in God, that when a Jew is united with his neighbor and works together with his partner, then Beis, you have bracha, you have blessing. But if Gimel, which means Geneva and Gezela, which means theft, if you steal one from the other, if you will cheat one from the other, then Dalit, you have Dalis, then you have poverty. So therefore we hope and pray that we will see the bays of bracha, of blessing from the Shem Ab, and we'll see God's essence in everything that we do, which brings about the true ta'anug, the true pleasure in this world, through the ultimate pleasure, which is the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days.